I'm Susanne Lee. I'm a senior scientist here at GE Global Research, and really all that means is I've been doing physics for a really long time. And physics, that usually means that it's a pretty boring subject. I know my dad was a physicist, and he's the one who sort of got me interested in this stuff. And whenever I asked him for help on my physics problems, it would be hours before I would get the answer because he felt obligated to tell me all these details that I didn't think I needed. And so that seems to be sort of the hallmark of a lot of physicists. But if you can plow your way through that, the physics can enable you to do things that are just really cool. So I've tended to take on physics problems that a lot of other people have said either couldn't be done, or they've tried to do it, they think it can be done, but for like the last half century, 50 years, way longer than you've been alive, they haven't been able to succeed. And I've actually found that I've managed to succeed in many of those problems only because of my artistic side. So I play the cello. I've been playing that since I was 6 years old. And I can give you one example from when I was in graduate school. My thesis advisor had given me a new material to make that people with PhDs, really advanced people, have been working on for 40 years with no success. And I thought I almost had it for a long time, like about 6 years. I always thought the solution was just around the corner. And I finally said, oh, I can't do this. It's just so around the corner, but it's not there. I can't solve it. So I had to give a concert at a hall in Boston. And I was performing with a ballet troupe. And so I just practiced my cello the whole day because I really didn't want to mess up the concert. So I practiced, went to the performance, it went really well, and I came home and I was taking the subway home, and just as I was walking out of the subway car, all of a sudden it hit me. I had the solution. And it felt almost like I'd given my brain that solves the scientific problems a rest, and I'd so worked on the other side that all of a sudden I now didn't need to use I felt at the time that I didn't need to use the artistic side. And I had given the other side enough of a rest that all of a sudden the solution just clicked in. But what I realized afterwards was that the two had meshed together, because it was actually some of the cello playing that I had done that made me realize what I needed to do in the laboratory in order to make things work. So I used to teach before I came to GE Global Research, and what I found when teaching students was that they sort of fell into two camps. There were the ones who were very artistically inclined, and they tended to be pretty intimidated by the ones who were very strong in the sciences and the math, engineering, that kind of stuff. I think that in order to solve and come up with new solutions, we're going to need to meld those two together. And so even the ones who are very good in art, they're going to really need to learn some of the math and the engineering and the technology, because we've already done the two camps before. We now need to be able to mesh those two together. So even the ones who are strong in science and technology, they're going to need to learn some art too. When kids today enter their STEAM careers, what I really think they need to bring, I think the most important thing, is imagination. Seeing the problems that they're faced with from all sorts of different angles. And I think imagination is probably the most important aspect of what needs to be developed as you're growing up.